It's episode 8 of Bandits Weekly presented by Smash Supplements. My name is Nathan Crosby. End of October, the Brooks Bandits sitting first in the Alberta Junior Hockey League with a record of 15-2. Another north trip last week up through Whitecourt and Spruce Grove. Successful weekend for the Bandits. The 6-1 win in Whitecourt on Friday night. Brendan Holohan, 20 saves. Hunter Wallace, 3 points. Bandit PK went 5 for 5. It was perfect all weekend. And the Bandits win 6-1. Saturday we go to Spruce. Hadn't played the Saints yet this year, so it's the first game since the first game between the Bandits and Saints since last year's league final. Wild game, intense. I'd say the most entertaining game of the year so far that the Bandits have been involved in. Bad start, obviously, with Spruce scoring 7 seconds in. Mirko Budazzoni, who had himself a really strong night with 2 goals, he ties it up. In the second period, the Saints get a 3-1 lead on the Bandits. Things not looking great, but Budazzoni scores again. That cues the comeback. And then the Bandits roll in the third period, out shooting the Saints 16-2 and scoring 6 unanswered goals in a 7-3 win. But it was a chippy game. It was a chirpy game. It was a lot of fun to be involved in at the Grant Few Arena. Can't wait to be back there later on in November when we make our second trip to Spruce. Bandits penalty kill, though, again that night, 4 for 4. And the power play 2 for 5. So a successful weekend for the team. My 3 thoughts on the week, the penalty kill, 93.8% right now, just 5 power play goals against. Since that loss in Bonnyville on October 18th, the Bandits have successfully killed 20 straight penalties and in the 4 games they've played since. So they haven't surrendered a power play goal against since that Bonnie game. My second point, Ty Mason. He was on a line with Budazzoni and Parker Lalonde through the 2 games up north. They looked fantastic. Ty Mason had 2 goals and an assist on the weekend. It just feels like he's really settling in here in Brooks. Big forward, 2005 born. He can really shoot the puck, and he was, I thought, a real standout of the weekend. And then my third point is just I want to give a big thank you to all the volunteers and our board of directors and the people who came out and supported the Brett Kissel concert on the weekend. That was hosted by the Bandits. I wasn't there. I was in Spruce, but it sounded like it was awesome. Kissel brought it. Saw some videos. The CRA looked packed. So a great show, and hopefully we can bring more shows like that here because the CRA is a great venue. So my hat's off to everyone involved in the Brett Kissel concert this past weekend. This episode is presented by Smash Supplements, where you can get everything you need to power through your day and level up. Located in downtown Brooks, open Monday to Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturday, 10 to 4. Our assistant coach, Dakota Mason, is this week's special guest. Our guest on Bandits Weekly is assistant coach Dakota Mason. We're back from another trip up north through Whitecourt and Spruce Grove. 6-1 win in Whitecourt, and then the come-from-behind 7-3 win in Spruce. That game in Spruce was pretty intense. Chatted before the game, you talked about how you almost wish you were still a player getting amped up for a game like that, and it lived up to the hype. I mean, that was as intense as it gets. From your point of view, what was it like?
Yeah, it was extremely intense. Right from the puck drop, the guys were chirping each other. Obviously, the start wasn't what we wanted. To go down 7 seconds in a game is never what you draw before you go out there, but just in general, I think that's the type of game we needed. We needed to face a team that we haven't faced yet that brings different intangibles to a game, and we got that with the Saints. They're fast, they're defensively structured, they're coached well. So it's just one of those games where it's really going to get down to the nitty-gritty, who wants it more, and for our guys to kind of come out and really show their intensity level, the will to want to win, do whatever it takes to want to win. It was really important for us, and I thought the whole weekend went well. Obviously, like I said, that 7 seconds in isn't something you kind of draw up, and to bounce back from that shows what we got in that locker room, and then even later in the game to go down 3-1, and then to turn the script almost in one shift, it shows what kind of offense we have too, and I think our team with our goals against right now, people think we might be a different team than the usual Brooks Bandits, where we're really, really stingy defensively, but we got a lot of firepower up front as well.
Do you think it's a different team this year than other Bandit teams we've seen?
Yeah, in a sense it's different. We're not that the teams before are typically one-line heavy, but we have a really well-balanced lineup. First line through the fourth line, even our scratches. Look at our fourth line on paper with Logan Sawyer, Nathan Free. They're right up there in our top 6 in scoring, both of them. So it doesn't really matter who's on the ice for us. We know we can put the puck in the net. It's just about getting everybody on the ice, everyone on the team, with the same mindset of how to defend, what we want to do defensively, how we want to pressure, all those little things. And I think it's a different team also in the sense that we don't have a 30% power play right now. PK is kind of carrying the special teams to a certain degree, but that PK is something that the team counts on every single year. They're always right at the top for PK. So yeah, it's different in a sense, but the same base is there. We play high pace, lots of skill, good off the attack, lots of O-zone structure. So yeah, there's things differently, but the things that we're doing that teams have done in the past, we're still doing really well.
And it seems like this group, and there's a lot of young players on this team, they handle adversity well. I mean, when Spruce went up 3-1, standing there going, this is close to getting away from the team. But I still had the sense that the team would find a way to get back in the game. What was the sense down with the group on the bench?
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot, especially over the last 3 weeks. The score doesn't dictate the life and the energy on the bench. And we really held true to that against Spruce Grove. And I think it was crucial. Just our team in general, we play so much better when we're up and we're motivated and we're not joking around, but we're playing with a lighter degree to our game. We perform so much better. So it's about letting them know that it doesn't matter if we're down 6-0 or up 6-0. We can come back from those 6-0 deficits, and also we need to learn to put our foot on people's necks when we got them down. We've had some tendencies where we've been up big after 2, and then third period the other team takes over. So just kind of managing that discipline of it doesn't matter about the score. You got to keep that same energy.
Energy was you could feel it all night in Spruce. And how cool was that to be involved in that game where, I mean, let's face it, not every game in the 62-game regular season is that much fun. But I mean, there was chirping, there was stuff after the whistles. You could tell both teams wanted it. Just how fun was that for you?
Yeah, those are the games that everybody gets up for. There's certain games where you're just not feeling it emotionally, physically, your body's not feeling it, your legs don't feel great, but when you play games like that, you know what you're going to get going into it. It makes preparing for the game so much easier. The mindset just is focused strictly on, I want to win this game, not, oh, my legs are sore, my shoulder hurts, my back sore, anything like that.
The usual things I complain about.
Yeah, 100%. So it's one of those things where the guys really get focused on what really matters in that 60-minute of game time, and I think that's important for us.
Just one final thing on the weekend. I mean, it seems like we're a heavier team this year, and you look at some of the recent additions. Ty Mason, who's been here for a month, but really is playing well right now, and Ewan McPherson, who just joined the team, but 2 big bodies. What a night for Ewan, by the way, going back to Spruce and getting a couple points against his former team. Of course, you're from that area as well. Just how happy were you to see that from him, and just those two, just what they've been able to bring so far?
Yeah, they've both been great additions for us. Definitely pieces that we needed to add. Both of them can really shoot the puck, and that's something we were really honed in on trying to add to this roster is guys that are able and willing to shoot the puck. It's not that we didn't have that before, but just to add that extra threat is extremely important to us, and obviously the size helps. That's one thing we noticed first day at camp before we went out to Sweden was how much bigger this team is than normally. That doesn't change how we play. We still want to play fast. We still want to play with skill, but just to have all that forward depth up front, over 6 feet, on the back end, a lot of guys over 6 feet. So those things really help, and especially when you add that size and you don't really lose anything with the foot speed. And I think those are the things that we've really done. And then just to touch base on those players, they both, as every single game practice has gone on, they've consistently gotten better, more comfortable with the system, with the team, with how we want to play in certain situations. And both of them, they're proven that they can play and score at any level. With Ewan there, he had 20 goals last year with Spruce Grove. So we know we're adding in a guy that is capable and has done it in the past to put up points. And then obviously with Ty Mason, had 2 outstanding years with Weyburn and the SJ before coming here. Last year as a 17-year-old, point per game in the SJ, hardly to put up points. So yeah, they're both great adds for us, both exactly what we needed. Added a big left winger in Ewan, added a good right winger that can play in our top 6 with Ty Mason. So both those adds made us extremely more depth throughout the lineup, added to our power play, all of those things. So both of those guys, just as the season gets going too, I think they're going to find bigger and bigger roles.
All right, let's move on from the weekend, and congrats on the weekend. It was a successful trip, but let's get to know you a bit more, Dakota. For those, your playing days in Brooks, and then you leave, and you go away to college, and then different places you land, and then coaching you start, and now this is your third stop as a coach. Coming back here must be pretty cool for you. But let's take everyone through your journey. Southside Athletic Club in Edmonton, where you played your minor hockey. Then you end up going to the Null in Dawson Creek. That must have been crazy travel.
Yeah, it was a unique situation. When I first got the phone call from the Dawson Creek staff there, I didn't even know what they were. I hung up on them immediately. I thought they were my friends playing a trick on me. And then a couple weeks later, they called back a few more times, and I finally looked into it and found out they were an expansion team starting up in the North American League. And yeah, the travel, crazy is an understatement.
So me complaining about having to go to Spruce Grove
yeah, I don't even bat an eye at that. So in our division, we had 3 Alaskan teams. We had Wenatchee Wild were in the league at the time, and then we had Fresno Monsters as well. So our travel was to Alaska, it was to Seattle, or it was to California. So we'd be on the bus for 6 hours from Dawson Creek to Edmonton, and then we're flying from there. So I mean, the days were long. When we were on road trips, we were gone for 3 weeks most times. So the road trips were even more tough on the body. But the one thing that we really had in our back pocket was the team was so extremely close, just from spending all those times on the bus, in the airplane, in a hotel. So the team was extremely close. We had an extremely good first season as an expansion team. We almost made the playoffs, just lost out on the last weekend. But yeah, the experience was incredible. Getting to play in all over the States, getting to play in California, all those things is something you don't really get to experience playing junior hockey. But to have that, it definitely set me up for further on in my career.
Any quick little story about playing in Dawson Creek in the Null that you can share with us?
The biggest one is with those 2-3 weeks in hotels. It was kind of mind-numbing on things to do. So got pretty good at playing pranks. So those are the types of things that I brought, not only playing here, but like as a coach, just joking around with the guys, just have those little pranks in my back pocket that I know are going to make the guys laugh.
Then you get recruited to Brooks with Tyson McCallum, who played with you in the Null. And how did that all come about and you end up in Brooks?
So I actually asked for a trade at Christmas, my 18-year-old year in Dawson Creek. Obviously that fell through. I ended up finishing the year there. And then throughout the summer, again, I was looking for somewhere else to play. And then I ended up getting drafted into the USHL by Cedar Rapids. And the way the USHL does their camps, they do them very early in the summer. So went out to the Cedar Rapids camp, had a really good camp, ended up making the team. And then that same week that I made the team, Paps here traded for me. So it was just about making that decision. Do I want to come here to Brooks, or do I want to go down to the USHL? And just for me, where I was at, I thought it was good for me to kind of come closer to home, get to play a bunch of games around the city. Obviously, us talking to Paps, he made it clear that they were building for a championship, and that was something I wanted to be a part of. So it was a pretty easy decision to kind of choose here over even the USHL.
What a year that was too in the 12-13 season, going all the way to Summerside and winning, and of course, I think a couple big goals you scored. First off, I got to ask you about the Michigan here at the CRA. The building looks packed that night, and of course Taylor Macon's the one that sets you up. And it's amazing to see this all come full circle now. But what do you remember about that
yeah, it's one of those hockey memories that is always going to live with me. Scoring that type of goal, that's not the first time I did it. I did it in Dawson Creek. I did a bunch of minor hockey.
Was that in the moment though, and or were you planning that?
No, yeah, that's the thing with that move for me. If you kind of plan it out, I found it didn't really work that well, but just certain situations, having the goalie on one side of the post, knowing the goalie that he likes to stay down when he comes across. Those are things that I knew going into the game, that if I was in that situation, I knew that I could pull it off fairly quickly. I know Pap, he was bugging me all season to kind of do it. I did it earlier in the season against Whitecourt, so he's seen me do it and knew I could do it, so he was bugging me to do it a lot.
And what did he say to you when you got back to the bench?
He told me he was telling me to do it from the bench. So he saw it coming, he knew the play, he knew how it was going to develop. So it was one of those things where you get that puck in the situation, you've done it before, it's something you can rely on, and just was lucky enough to pull it off in a big moment. That goal there, that was the 5th goal in a 5-2 game to complete my hat trick. And then you never know what's going to happen in the rest of the game. We ended up giving up 3 goals in the next 9 minutes to send the game into overtime. So then we had to win the game in overtime. But to score that goal on home ice in front of a completely sold out arena in the league finals in a clinching game is, when you add up all those things together, it's one of those memories that no matter how old I get or how bad my brain gets, I'm always going to remember that.
What was bigger in your life, that goal or in the semifinal there at the RBC?
Yeah. So for me, the top 2 goals I ever scored had to be the RBC Cup goals, scoring that tying goal with 11 seconds left in the semifinals from behind the net, but that doesn't matter how it goes in. But so that one to help us get to the overtime, for Mark Renders to score to send us to the finals, and then the winning goal in the RBC Cup final is again something I always remember. Having my stick and my gloves in the Hockey Hall of Fame is something that not a lot of people will ever get that play this game, never mind playing junior hockey. So another one of those things where it's just another hockey memory that really is going to stick with me forever.
Whenever I talk to your buddies from that team, whether it's RJ Reed, Cam, Paskruk, Petro, Renners, who else? Chev. I've met a ton of those guys from that team. Man, what a bunch of characters! It seemed like such a unit of a team that everyone. I mean, it seemed like what they were on the ice was what they were off the ice. Why was that team just so special, you think?
Well, first off, we had a ton of very, very good hockey players, but the biggest reason for me and why we were able to win that championship was how close knit we were as a group. Because like you look throughout the season, there was so many points in that season where our season was almost done. Lost Game 5 here in triple overtime to Okotoks to put us down 3-2 in the South Final, and then having to go to Okotoks to play Game 6 in front of a sold out barn in Okotoks, having to win that game in overtime with Cam McLeese scoring in overtime, and then having to come back here and grease out a 2-1 win in Game 7. So that was just the first of many almost chances we were out. And then you go to the Western Canada Cup, and we're in the semifinals, and we lose to Surrey, and then we go to the B final to book our ticket into the final, and we win 1-0 against Yorkton on a goal from a fourth line rookie. So, and then you get into the semifinals RBC Cup and down a goal with 11 seconds left and win that one in overtime. So there's just so many points in the season where we could have just looked at it ourselves and been like, okay, well, it was a fun ride, but it's over. But everyone just had each other's back, knew that we could get it done, just had to focus on the task at hand, and then we were able to get it done. So for me, the players were amazing, the staff was amazing, but the real ticket for winning that was how close of a group it was.
I know I could feel it because in 2019 when we hosted the national championship, right over, for those of you watching this mural we have of the final game, there was a whole section of you guys from that team, and you guys were hilarious that whole week because you guys were just totally into the spirit of the event, but also like being part of the organization. That was my introduction to just seeing how tight-knit of a group you guys are. And it sounds like you guys still are very tight.
Yeah, 100%. We also talked, there's actually myself and 3 other people got tattoos like the day we got back from the RBC Cup just to kind of celebrate. Again, we made that pact on December 2nd of the season. I remember that day vividly because we had just traded for a couple guys. We were hanging out with them. We're like, well, this team's a wagon. Like, if we win this and we pull this off, we should do something to celebrate. And we decided we wanted to get tattoos. And again, to just touch base on that 19 hosting season, as soon as we found out they were hosting, all of us started a group chat together, figured out how we were all going to get together. We had Corey Scammon fly out from Florida. We had Chevy fly out from Ontario. We had guys driving in from BC. And it was to watch the team host the national championship, but it was also to rekindle that connection that we had when we won. And it was like no time had passed, even though it had been 5 years. We had 6 guys staying in hotel rooms together. We had guys going everywhere together. So it was just like we were playing hockey again. And it was one of those weekends that you look forward to and you remember when it's done, and you're sad when it's over, right? Because you don't know when you're going to get all those guys back together. But I know with this organization, I know there's going to be points down the line where there's situations where all those guys can get together, and with how close knit we were, we know it's just going to be like, oh, just another day where you're back again with your old pals.
Do you sense a little bit of that camaraderie with the players now that you're coaching? It'll never be the same, but do you get that sense?
Oh yeah. They're a close-knit group in there. A lot of jokesters, a lot of characters, a lot of good hockey players. So a lot of those little intangibles that made it successful in 2013 are right there in the locker room now.
So your playing career after Brooks, you go to Plattsburgh for some college hockey. That experience, what was it like?
Yeah, it was cool. Getting to play NCAA hockey was really, really awesome. Again, like you go there and you don't know your teammates at all, and then within the first week they're your best friends. Again, just kind of forced to live with them, do everything with them, and kind of forces you to become tight really quickly. And obviously I went to Plattsburgh, and it's, in my opinion, one of the top Division III schools you can go to. Outstanding facility, outstanding program, outstanding school. So it was a lot of fun, and had some success early on, and then my past concussion history caught up with me, and unluckily for me, I got a concussion there and just after Christmas of my freshman year, and kind of forced me to kind of stop playing that level of hockey. But yeah, it's one of those years where I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the game of hockey, and all those things I brought back with me from there. And that year made me become who I was, and helped me become a better coach, because my coach there, Bob Emery, I think he's top 3 in all-time NCAA wins. D1, D3, women's, men. So he's been there forever. So I learned a ton from him.
Then you end up in Falher, up in northern Alberta.
Yeah.
That must have been wild.
Yeah, it was different. Just kind of ended up there with one of my buddies who got asked to go play there, and he was looking for some buddies to drive down with. It's about a 4-hour drive from Edmonton, so we would just drive down on weekends, play some senior AA hockey.
Some good players up there?
Yeah, really good players. Our captain that year was Darren Kramer. If you know much about hockey fighting, you know who Darren Kramer is. 1 year in the WHL, I think he had 62 games and 58 fights or something like that. And he went from...
So he was on a fight per game streak.
Yeah. And he went from Belleville in the AHL and then to us. And then there was a bunch of players like that who had just played pro hockey and then moved back to northern Alberta to play in that league. And in my opinion, it's one of the best senior AA leagues in all of Alberta.
So when did you get the coaching bug?
Honestly, I would say I had it in me when I was playing. I was one of those guys out there who saw things differently than other players. And I would talk to the coaches after my shift. I'd be like, hey, they're locking that left side wall. Like, let's start using the middle. And so it was one of those things where I was thinking the game a lot more out there than a lot of other players. Maybe that helped me set up my coaching career. Maybe it hurt my playing career more. But yeah, I'm one of those guys who, no matter what I'm doing, I'm thinking about hockey. So I knew with my career on where I'd been, who I learned from, I knew I had that foundation of a base on what made teams successful. So I thought, with those things in mind, with my scouting, with my skills development stuff, I thought it was the next step in my hockey career. As soon as I was done playing hockey, I knew I wanted to get into this side of the game. I just didn't know in what aspect. And as soon as I started coaching, I knew I loved this.
And you end up with the Princeton posse there before going over to Swan Valley in the MJ. From those two experiences, speak to both of them, just what you learned from both of them.
Well, yeah, they're both so different in the sense that my first year in Princeton, obviously in the KI, it's a whole different caliber of hockey players. Still good hockey players, just at a different point in their career. They're looking to make that. There's a mix of guys looking to make that jump into junior A, and then there's that mix of career life KI players. So it was different to kind of navigate your way through a locker room in who wanted it.
Well, wasn't it also like, sorry to interrupt, but wasn't there also like COVID and flooding happening?
Yeah. So that's the big reason why that Princeton year was so different than anyone else. We started off at the tail end of COVID, so all those protocols were still in place. And then come November 13th, our town got hit with a massive flood. Like, I think to this day, they still don't have clean drinking water in town. We didn't practice in our home rink for a month. We didn't play a home game for 6 weeks. We didn't even touch a hockey stick for 3 weeks. We were just strictly doing flood relief stuff in town. So I think we had 16, 18-year-olds on the team. So to see a group of 16, 18-year-olds and then a few older guys really sacrifice the only reason they're in that town to put that to the wayside for the betterment of the entire community was extremely incredible to see. Just a side note, like, I got the call at 1 a.m. The morning of the floods that the town was flooding. My house was 4 houses away from the river, so my main concern was my house and my family. So I didn't get a chance to go downtown and spend a ton of time downtown with that flood relief. I was working in my community, but we had 18-year-olds in waist deep water pulling out senior citizens out of a senior citizen home at 2, 3 in the morning trying to save their lives. So just to see a group of young men put hockey aside for the betterment of the community was incredible and something I'll remember forever. And then you go to Manitoba and now you're in Junior A, whole different province, moved my family across 3 provinces and had an outstanding season there. Really good team, made it all the way to the league semifinals. Unfortunately lost to Steinbach, who ended up making it to the Centennial Cup, but learned a ton from my head coach there, Barry Wolf, another guy who's been around the game forever.
And in the AJ.
Yeah, and he coached in the AJ, coached in drum. He actually coached Mirko Budazzoni's dad when he played junior hockey. So like that just goes to show you how long Wolfie's been coaching. So he's seen everything. He's seen all different aspects of junior on and off the ice. So to pick his brain for a year is an experience I'll never forget.
Amazing stuff, especially in Princeton. That's just wild. And then you throw in the whole pandemic and everything going on with that. It's just crazy. Okay, so now let's get to your time now in Brooks, which is it's been a fun first year and having you back here. But just what has this all been like so far, the experience of coaching for the Bandits under Ryan Papuano?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's exactly what I signed up for when I took the job. Just to pick the brain of Pap over this, what has it been, 3 months almost now since?
If you throw in Sweden, it feels like it's been like a year.
Yeah. So like, just to spend that time with him, pick his brain, learn the intangibles about how he dissects the game is an experience that every coach should experience. Like he's so much further ahead than people realize. People maybe realize that this team is good just because we get good players. But even look back at my 19-year-old here. We were good, but we weren't the same team that we were now. He's built it up from there to now everyone wants to come to Brooks. And that helps, but he gets those players that want to come to Brooks to start playing the right way. And the right way, in my opinion, is the way that he's coaching it. He's extremely detailed. He doesn't lack in any sense of the game. And it's one of those things where you need to learn this stuff to be a successful coach, and I want to be a successful head coach when I get older. And it's just about learning those things from somebody like him, and to have that is experience that is second to none anywhere in Canada, in my opinion. Just with his championships, with his detail, with his connections, all of those things are exactly what any young assistant coach should look for in a head coach to set them up for further down the line. Not that I'm looking to ever get out of here. I love this place. It's a place that turned me into the man that I am, turned me into the hockey player that I was, turned me into a coach that I'm going to be. So to have him as a head coach, someone that I can learn off of every single day is extremely incredible. To get the chance to work with my former line mate in Taylor Macon is like not many people ever get to experience that. We were really close when I was here. We're really close now. He's somebody else who's won 2 national championships now as an assistant coach here, so he's a brain that I'm picking all the time. My chair is 3 feet from his chair, so we're constantly breaking down video together. So I'm using this as an extreme learning experience for myself to kind of set myself up for whatever the next step of hockey brings.
What would you say between you and Makes, like your role in the dressing room, how players see you? Is there a good cop, bad cop, anything like that?
No, I think Makes and I both have a really light energy around the room.
See that?
Yeah, we both really like making the guys laugh, being part of the guys in their day-to-day experiences, cutting a lot of video with them and stuff like that. So I think they got that good mix of Paps, who's hard on them, also likes to joke around. Makes, who's hard on them, also likes to joke around. Me getting to be harder on him, also likes to joke around. So they know when they come to the rink, it's not going to be Debbie Downer. They're going to have fun at the rink. They're going to be forced to come out of their comfort zone and perform well. But yeah, the big thing is we like to keep the room light.
Okay, we've gone pretty long here, but I just want to get your thoughts on this week coming up here with I think a game we're all eager to watch on Tuesday night in Black Falls, and then a tough home weekend, Sherwood Park, Camrose coming in. But that game Tuesday night in Black Falls, obviously there's going to be lots of intensity and emotion. We're coming off an intense game, but how much are you looking forward to that game?
Yeah, extremely looking forward to it. Obviously with them having Dakota McIntosh there, Wilson Maxfield, Aaron Brown, so there's that extra motivation of wanting to beat your former teammates and your friends. So that's going to help, but the big picture of it is it's a first place battle. Winner gets first place no matter what way you look at it. We had that same look game 4 of the season against Camrose, didn't perform well, so it's a chance to really look in that room and say, hey, this is a chance for first place. Winner gets first place. Battle, you got to go out there and battle for it. They're not just going to give it to you, but to go in there on Halloween, play some of your old teammates, good building, good team, extremely good team. It's going to be a tough test. And then you look back, we got Spruce Grove on Saturday. Then we play Black Falls, then we play Sherwood Park, then we play Camrose. Like, this is up there with the toughest 4-game stretch we're going to face. So the guys know the challenge at hand, and I think they're extremely motivated, especially for tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this, Dakota, and sharing with us, and good luck so far, or good luck the rest of the season. Congrats on the success so far.
Thank you.
It's Bandits assistant coach, Dakota Mason. Thanks to Dakota Mason for joining us on episode 8 of Bandits Weekly. As we look at the week ahead in a second, just a couple news and notes, though, that we want to pass on because it was a busy week for the Bandits. How about Central Scouting coming out last week? We had 4 Bandits, 3 current and 1 recruit identified on Central Scouting's preliminary players to watch list. Logan Sawyer, Providence commit, and then the 2 Penn State commits in Nathan Free and Matthew Tyfair identified on that list. Sawyer with a C rating, and Free, Tyfair, and Marco Billick, who just committed to the Bandits for next year. He's a goaltender who's going to play at Cushing this year. They were all given W ratings, so players to watch on Central Scouting. So congratulations to them. Looking forward to watching their progress this year. NHL Draft will be next June, and the word on the street is that it'll be held in Las Vegas. Maybe make a trip down there and watch. We'll see. The other news from last week was Shattuck St. Mary's forward Caden Hawkins committed to the Bandits for the 2024-25 season. He's a St. Thomas commit, and so looking forward to having him. You can read more about all of that on our website at brooksbandits.ca. Big week coming up for the Brooks Bandits. We just heard Dakota talk about that with the schedule. I mean, this is a grind, playing all top teams. We just played Spruce on Saturday. Tuesday night, of course, is the big one. Halloween night in Black Falls. We've had this one on our radar. Rematch of the 2023 South Final. Bandits and Bulldogs haven't played each other yet. Brooks with a record of 15-2. Black Falls with a record of 14-2-1. They're even in games played. The Bandits are leading the Bulldogs by 1 point for first overall. So there's a lot weighing in on that game. Plus, there's been all the transactions. Wilson Maxfield, Dakota McIntosh, now with the Bulldogs. So you have that as well. It is going to be, I think, well, we're hoping it's going to be another intense and fun game between the Bandits and the Bulldogs on Halloween. Then on Friday, Sherwood Park comes back to the CRA. Bandits hosted the Crusaders on September 22nd for the home opener and banner night. It was a wild game. Sherwood Park had a 3-2 lead on Brooks. The Bandits were able to tie and then take the lead in the third period and win 4-3. So this will be the second meeting of the year between Brooks and Sherwood Park. Crusaders are third right now in the AJHL, and they are coming off kind of a mixed results week, losing to Bonnyville and Drum. They bounced back, though, on Sunday with a win. Saturday, the Bandits will host the Camrose Kodiaks. This is a revenge match for the Bandits because September 19th, when we were up in Camrose, of course, the Bandits' first loss of the season came to the Kodiaks 3-1. So looking forward to seeing the Bandits hopefully get some revenge on the Kodiaks, who just snapped a 9-game losing streak this past weekend with a win over Fort Mac. So that's what we have on tap this week. Black Falls Tuesday on the road, and then 2 home games this weekend. Sherwood Park Friday and Camrose on Saturday. 7 o'clock starts at the CRA. Tickets at brooksbandits.ca. Lots happening this week in Bandits world. Big thanks to assistant coach Dakota Mason for coming on and giving us some great insight, not just on the team, but everything else that we went through there. And also a big thank you to Smash Supplements. I'm Nathan Crosby. This has been Bandits Weekly.